Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Qatrunnada Viranda with PP number 2010731017. In this occasion, I would like to present my final thesis for comprehensive exam with title Exploring the Experiences of Muslim Immigrant Confronting Islamophobia in US as seen in Jasmine Warga's Other Words for Home. So, after considering several suggestions from the examiners and after discussing with my supervisor, I decided to change my approach into sociological approach. Therefore, there are several parts that I change and I revise. The first one is related to the research question. I decided to only have the research question. The first one is, how does Other Word for Harm depict the experiences of Islamophobia faced by Muslim immigrants in the US through the character of Judd? And the next research question is, how does the novel portray the impact of Islamophobia on the daily social interaction and community integration of Muslim immigrants? Next, for the chapter True Theories and Method, I changed since I changed my approach to sociological. Of course, I changed my theoretical framework. I choose sociology of literature, and with the specific theory of Alan Sequoyah. According to Alan Sequoyah in 1971, he categorizing the sociology of literature into three key perspectives: literature is seen as a reflection of society. Literature is seen from the perspective of the authors and production process. And lastly, exploring the relationship between history and literary work. For my thesis, I focused with the first perspective, which is literature is seen as a reflection of society. So next for chapter 3, social historical background of Islamophobia in the US, I add 2 points. The first one is related to the stereotyping and prejudice of hijab, because hijab hijab is one of the highlighted experience or issue that highlighted in the novel. Hijab is often misunderstood in America as a sign of oppression or extremism. And the other point that I added is the impact of Islamophobia toward Muslim immigrants. So according to Ahmed and et al. And Al-Khatib et al., there are several impacts of Islamophobia. The first one is psychological impact. The second one is the social life and identity impact. And lastly is behavioral response. We move to the chapter 4, the discussing or the analysis. Okay, so for the first one is the portrayal of Islamophobia in the novel and how it reflects contemporary US. So first, Islamophobia experienced by Judd. For this experience, I divided into 2 forms of experience. The first one is experience with hijab stereotype, and the second one is Judd experiences with hate crimes. And then for the contemporary US that reflected in the novel, the first one is related to hijab misconception. So in the novel, there's a woman tells its mother, you don't have to wear that anymore. You're in America now, which assume hijab as an oppression and lack agency for women. Meanwhile, in reality, Muslim women in US are often told to take off their hijab or go back to their country. For example, according to NBC News in 2020, there's a Muslim woman who was spat on and insulted in a supermarket. Next is suspicious look. Many hijabi women report being stared or treated as a potential threat in public spaces after 9/11. Visible Muslim identity often triggers fears and prejudice because hijab considered as the one of the most visible Muslim identity. So that's why there are a lot of Muslim women, Muslim immigrant, and Muslim women in US become the target of Islamophobic. Now, meanwhile, in the novel, it reflected when Jude start to wear hijab, and people surrounded her start to stare her like she's a ticking time bomb. Next is the verbal harassment. Muslim immigrants and Arab American frequently face the same slurs, especially after terror incidents. CAAR recorded a major rise of hate speech in 2023. In the novel, it reflected through Jude's experience get yelled by a stranger to go back where she came from. And the last one is about the vandalism. Vandalism became the most one of the most cases that commonly happen whenever there's a trigger of bombing, and in the rise of cases Islamophobia, there always like a vandalism act that happen through the mosques, halal shop, and Muslim owned restaurant across the U.S. with graffiti saying terrorists or ISIS. And this is reflected. This situation reflected in the novel that happened to Leila's family restaurant that painted with terrorists in red letters. Next is the impact on Muslim immigrant. The first one is the impact on social interaction. So Jude feels isolated and rejected at school because of her appearance, accent, and hijab. However, later she experiences direct verbal harassment, which this situation prevent her uh, to build or to engage into social interaction and to feel it influence her feeling of belonging and accepted. Muslim immigrants in U.S. often face social exclusion, verbal harassment, and alienation due to negative stereotype. This has happened in real life, and this everyday experience mirrors with situation, so showing how Islamophobia affect belonging and self-perception in real life. Next is the impact on community integration. So despite challenging, Jude tries to adapt by learning English and joining school theater. Her effort shows determination to integrate into community. However, she realized that even with good English skills, prejudice still exists. With shows that integration doesn't always lead to acceptance. There's always a struggle for Muslim immigrant in U.S. No matter how hard you try to engage, to integrate, there's always a challenge for them. Uh, but with this situation, it doesn't make you give up. However, she later chose to wear her hijab proudly, which shows a form of resilience and empowerment, redefining her Muslim identity. Uh, regarding to this situation, uh, many Muslim immigrants in U.S. also join community activities or advocacy groups to foster belonging. Like Jude, they balance adaptation with resisting stereotypes and staying true to their identity. So the conclusion is this novel portrays how Islamophobia affects Muslim immigrants in the United States through prejudice toward hijab, fear, and suspicion of Muslim as threat and discrimination in daily life. These experiences deeply impact Jude, leading to feeling of rejection, loneliness, and identity struggle. However, she demonstrates resilience by adapting, forming new connection, and embracing her identity with pride instead of isolate herself and trying to not engaging with the society. In the end, this novel highlights both the harsh reality of Islamophobia and the courage and strength to confront it, promoting empathy, equality, and respect for diversity. So I think that's all from me. Thank you very much.